So how do you feel now, Emily, knowing that Dylan lied to your face? I would love to know. Hey guys, this is Jules with True Crime Reactions. Disclaimer, everything stated in this video is my opinion and my opinion only. And just like everything else in these cases we discuss here on this channel, everything is alleged. Episode 4, we are finally at the end of this. I am just going to say, before I get started, these are taking me a lot longer than I thought they would because of how I'm having to edit them. That's number one. Number two, I'm just really disappointed in the fact that even after we've had all of this documentation come out, all of this self-authenticating evidence, all of this timeline stuff come out in the court, and I'll say from all three sides, and I say that because we've gotten information in the judge's orders as well that a lot of people think have some sort of substance because he's seen all the evidence, right? He's gone through and looked at all of the things. So when it comes to the judge's orders, when it comes to the state, when it comes to the defense, a lot of the things when it comes to the actual factual timeline, everything has been misconstrued in this docuseries. So what I'm going to do is go and do a video after we're done with this review of all of the things from all 4 episodes that were in complete contradiction to the proven fact, and I'm going to put the proven fact, the court document that shows the actual evidence, up on the screen so that we can actually look at the facts versus whatever's going on in this series. I have an entire stance on what I think this series was put out in order to do, but I don't know if it was done intentionally by Amazon or not, because Amazon is really just sort of showing all of the issues that a lot of us have already have, and they're basically letting us in on how the cover-up was orchestrated, okay? We're not going to get into all those details in this one. Let's just go ahead and get started with this last episode. By the way, my book, the Patterson book, shipped yesterday, a whole 2 days early, so it should be here soon. Okay, so it's literally starting off with the guy that was over at the frat, the one that a lot of people have been talking about, saying that he was over driving at the apartment complex next to King Road at 4 o'clock in the morning. That's how they're going to start this, by putting him literally in the vicinity of the crime. I'm sure somebody knows what kind of car this guy drives. We all looked into this stuff in the very, very beginning, but it's been almost 3 years. So if somebody just has some sort of clue, please put it down in the comments. What? Usually you can see the last remnants of people leaving a party, but it was silent. I'm sure it was. Okay, so now they're showing a car coming up Linda Lane, up where the dumpsters were. This is gonna sound really weird. This is coming from Hunter Johnson and Emily. She said, I woke up and saw, hold the freak up, bro. Okay. So now they're saying that Emily woke up to Hunter getting up and locking the door. He just had an inkling that he had to get up and lock the door. Oh, yeah? Yeah? Holy crap. What? See, they think that they're putting this in here to be like, oh my God, intuition. What? I'm sorry? Or was there a phone call? A heads up. Lock your door. Some shit's about to go down. Really curious what their phone logs actually say. What? Something pulling me towards doing that. Then the David guy was like, my intuition was telling me that something was wrong before I even knew. I just hustled up and got home. All of you collectively that all have these connections to all of this bullshit secrecy, all of a sudden all have the same intuition in the same night. No, I don't believe that at all. You know why I don't believe that? Because nothing apparently happened to you. Intuition is not something that you get because somebody that is, not around you or someone that's not connected to you is doing something crazy. Intuition is something that you get whenever your connection is making it tingle that way. I've never, ever, ever had intuitions about something that wasn't related to me. That doesn't make any sense to me. I'm sorry. No. This whole thing started off Wild. I don't know what Amazon's intention was. But there's no way. I'm sorry. You're not going to sit there and tell me all of a sudden, Mr. I was over there at 4:00 in the morning and hustled back to get home real quick. And Mr. Oh, we never lock our doors, but all of a sudden I felt the need to lock the door with a smile on your face. No, this is going to be an interesting ass episode. I can already tell. We a minute in. Oh my God. What? Nah, bro. No, bro. Mm-mm. It's actually really creepy because they're showing, like, this is odd. I don't know how they're getting this stuff. I'm going to put this one on the screen. Let me go back so I can get a screenshot because this is just weird how they have the house right here. It's like there's 3 cars parked in the front and there's no, like, this has to be like an AI image of the house because there's no crime scene tape. The Range Rover, 2 other cars are in there. There's lights on in one of the windows. There's no boarded up windows or anything or crime scene tape. This has to be like an AI photo. That's wild. Okay, so now Emily is saying that Dylan told her what happened. She heard Dylan and Maddie come home. She heard them chit-chatting on the couch for a while. I'm sorry. For a while, according to the Goncalveses, they got home at 1:56. And according to court information, Dylan and Bethany were in Kaylee's room between like 2 and 2:10 discussing going back out and getting food. So what do you mean you heard them on the couch for a while when that conversation pretty much like instantly happened as soon as they got home, according to like, court fact. So they're showing where Dylan's bedroom is in way of the couch. She was pretty much sleeping through it. Okay. I want to know how you feel now, Emily. I want to know how you feel now that you know that for 8 hours straight, Dylan's phone activity never stopped. I want to know how you feel knowing that Bethany's phone activity barely ever stopped either. There was a little bit of a pause, according to Ann Taylor, but for the majority of the night, her phone was doing the things. So how do you feel now, Emily, knowing that Dylan lied to your face? I would love to know. Bethany Funk and Dylan Mortensen confirmed that all residents were asleep by 4 a.m. I cannot believe they're out here putting out this bullshit old-ass lie. I understand this was all filmed in 2023, probably, from how it looks, but we are in July of 2025, and this was going to be coming out already before the plea deal, before the trial. This was going to be coming out with just like a week or so to spare before jury selection was supposed to start. And they're going back to this lie of a freaking timeline. According to the newest reports in court, at the 2:00 point, whenever Dylan claims to have been in Kaylee's room with Bethany and Maddie talking about going to get more food, right before she texts Eric Gower, the private driver, who's also married or was married to somebody who worked at the Moscow Police Department. At the time, Xana and Ethan were not home at that point, according to the judge's information. So what do you mean? I cannot believe that they are putting this old information out here and not bothering to make sure that it's accurate. Amazon, you're freaking disgusting. 4 a.m., Xana receives DoorDash order. They're still claiming it was Xana. Show me the freaking proof that it was Xana because the court documents show that it came from Ethan's account. The court documents, the actual factual evidence shows that there was no 4:12 timestamp for TikTok on the record for court. It was 3:16, an entire hour earlier. So prove to me that this was Xana. Prove to me that this was Xana. I cannot believe this. This is just, I'm taking my blood pressure pill. I can't. This is so stupid. Here we go. 4:05 a.m. The white Elantra. Making a turn and then parking? Where the frick on the cameras does it show that car parking? Holy crap. One freaking actual lie after lie after lie. Xana was on TikTok around 4:12 a.m. No, she wasn't. The self-authenticating records given by the state as factual, actual evidence says 3:16 in the morning. I'm getting heated. I'm getting mad. This is stupid. That's when Dylan hears commotion sort of upstairs. She thought she heard someone say there's someone here. They're literally reading the PCA. This is annoying me. No, they actually heard rummaging and stuff up on the 3rd floor. Now, Dylan told Emily she thought she heard crying. So you're going to sit here and try to tell me she can tell you that she heard crying, but then she's also slept through all of it? That just came from the same Emily chick. These are college graduates. Where's the common sense? What? Now they're talking about how she saw a man with bushy eyebrows and he walked out the back slider. It doesn't say anything at all about her actually physically seeing anyone going out that slider. We know that that's an assumption. And the whole bushy eyebrows thing, all of her information is one puffy eyebrow, one eyeball. It wasn't speaking to her. It wasn't coming towards her. And it was white. She didn't know how, but it was white. And then we find out she has wall art of pictures that she drew of big one eyeballs with one big puffy eyebrow and white walls. And she apparently was like out of her mind on all kinds of things, but also adding a contact to her phone just 9 minutes before the DoorDash would have shown up. So then Dylan goes downstairs and apparently tells Bethany, "Did you hear any of that?" And she's like, "No." So she's like, "Well, then I must have imagined it. But, if you didn't hear anything, it's fine. Let's just go ahead and go to sleep down here safely." I'm sorry. Okay, I'm going to remind people and tell people for the first time who have not, heard this before. Steve Goncalves had an entire conversation that was proven and validated that came out for all of us to view, where he is very much aware before we ever got any information about these two texting each other during the time of the crime. He is very much aware that the two of them were speaking to each other in terms that would make you believe they knew that people were being killed in that house. Per the verbiage that Steve Goncalves saw, per the verbiage that he then relayed to the people that he said this to in what he thought was a private conversation. Dylan has lied from day one about seeing or hearing anything. The truth doesn't change. It is a constant. Now they're scrolling through stuff on TikTok about people being upset about the 8 hours. Where's all that anger? How come all the people that were mad about this 8-hour thing are just like completely throwing it off to the side like it doesn't matter now? Now they have this psychologist being like, "Oh my God, well, people like do things differently. And this is exactly how we should have expected these two adults to behave." I'm sorry. You're in college living in a home where you are paying a lease and paying bills. This is not the behavior of people that have witnessed trauma. They were on their phones for the entire time, taking photos, editing photos, taking videos, editing videos, doing other things with those said photos and videos before then deleting those photos and videos. They were also on social media after having these ginormous conversations about how somebody was in black, somebody was in a mask, something's going on. No, they knew at the time that this was happening, that things were happening. How can you sit here and know all of the proof and sit here and still be like, "Oh, they had no freaking idea"? I don't even know what to say, honestly. So now it's back to Emily and going back to where her and Hunter went over there. And she was even telling her, "We called everybody," or "I called everybody and nobody's answering and I'm not sure what's going on." Now this is Josie, and she said, again, Dylan was the one on the phone with 911 and I had to take the phone from her because she was so hysterical. And I'm the one who gave them the address. See, that's complete opposite of what's in the record. The record, and I showed this already, this is like something that they're replaying from what looks like episode 1. They have Bethany as the first person on the phone call. And that's been validated by both sides and the court. So yeah, there's that. All of this so far has been just complete crap. Just complete crap. I don't know how you can have all of these inconsistencies and then still sit here and be like, "Oh yeah, this is exactly how this is supposed to go. He's the guy." No answers, no explanations, and 1,000. Oh, look. Okay. Brett Norton, for anyone who's watching this, on minute 7 and 55 seconds, the chick that's talking with the really frizzy hair that's down, okay, that's Brett Norton. That's the one that Steve Goncalves has thousands of messages with, completely verified, when he's talking about having footage of certain things, whenever he's telling her that they were discussing about how it sounds like they're being killed or it sounds like someone's killing them. Yeah, that's the messages that he claims were actually going on between Dylan and Bethany. At 7 minutes and 55 seconds, you see the face of the person who not only had those conversations, but was also running information over to Howard Bloomblum, whatever, from Steve Goncalves, playing the middleman because Steve didn't want to talk to Howard Bloomblum, whatever, back then. There's the face. Josie is like, I don't know how he would have known them to stalk them. How would he have known where they lived? Well, he didn't. There's no proof of any of that. The state themselves have stood up and said there is no stalking. There's no social media connections. There's nothing on any of the devices. There's literally nothing. Now we have this reporter saying, we don't have any connections. We don't know what the relationship could be. No. 2 years later, all of those things have been proven to not exist. And the fact, again, Amazon put this out. There's going to be millions of people who believe this shit. This is disgusting. Now, here's the biology guy again saying he would show up to class and then bounce. You would try to get personal and he wouldn't give you much. Did you try to get personal? Or are you just trying to act like you did so that you have something else to talk about? I really question like everyone's motives after an event happens. I'm not even kidding. Everyone. Now he's saying, my exact words were, this person has trouble with women because he didn't want to be your friend? What? That doesn't even make any sense. So now they're going back to this entire incel thing. Let me just remind the people in the back who seem to have like forgotten. The entire Dateline series was about an Asian chick. Oh gosh. This is like the one time that I like regret having my freaking red hair, which by the way, I've had red hair since I was like 15. Okay, they just showed the Twitter chick. But let me just go back to what I was saying. The Dateline series literally tells the story of the Asian girl that lived in the apartment complex that had a crush on Bryan, wanted to be with him, and he turned her down. Then after the rejection, all of a sudden, someone broke into her apartment and, oh my God, Bryan, come to my rescue. Okay, then we have the pool party. Not only have we heard about the two girls at the pool that he got the numbers from, apparently, according to several different sources, but also Dateline brought up Holly, this really pretty woman who handed Bryan Kohberger her freaking cell phone. He put his number in her contacts, and then she got the phone back and instantly contacted his number to make sure that he had her information. How does that sound like a damn incel? So now it's talking about the Twitter chick. So they're showing her whenever she didn't have her red hair. I'm going to get this picture. See, this is back in 2015. How old was he in 2015? So they went to a movie and then they went back to her dorm room and she's doing the whole like, oh, he tried to tickle me thing. This was 10 years ago. How does she even know for a fact that this is the guy? Where's the proof of this? And they're showing that stupid photoshopped photo. Where's the proof that they actually went on a date? No one has ever shown me the proof that these two actually like hung out together or went on a date or anything. She just came on the screen with the story from a decade ago and people just ran with it. She had no proof whatsoever from 2015. My now 18-year-old child was 8 whenever this took place. So we're just taking this chick's word for it with no proof whatsoever. You see what I mean? It's just disgusting. No proof, no receipts, no nothing. Just these people coming out and doing all of this stuff. They're literally telling us all of these things that contradict their incel theory. So now here comes Chief Gary Jenkins saying that Bryan followed a girl to her car trying to flirt with her, and she went and reported him. According to what happened in the court documents, there was no firing. That doesn't make any sense either. They need to come out and show the proof of that. We've gone through all of the information. When it comes to the WSU TA firing argument with the professor, for one, it was a man that he was having issues with. For two, the professor didn't like the way that Kohberger was grading students. He wanted Kohberger to grade less harshly. I could understand if he's a perfectionist, if he has OCDs, if he has autism, how not holding someone up to the standard that he thinks they're supposed to be at for what this degree is, okay, what this field is, I can understand how he would probably go and do the very opposite, like what he ended up doing. Not caring at all, just grading like however he feels the professor wants him to grade, but in a very exaggerated way to almost be like a smartass to like prove a point. Oh, you don't want me to grade them where it matters? Okay, I'm going to do it your way. And they're all going to get A's and they're all going to make you look stupid because at the end of the day, they're dumb. They don't know anything. But because of you being soft on them, they've all passed. You know, all that DEI crap that's caused a bunch of problems. Pretty much the same thing. So whenever they did do whatever they did at WSU, he was found to have done nothing wrong. That's in the court documents. Not only that, but he had to sign off on them going into the apartment. He had to be literally trespassed off of the property. If he had already been fired, why would you then need to also be trespassed off the property? It was already said that if he actually lost his TA position, he wouldn't be able to afford to continue on with his education. With being a TA, your tuition is covered. It's taken care of because you're also working for the school. Whenever you lose that position, you can continue at the school, but you have to pay the tuition price. So no, if he would have been fired, he also would not have been able to have been enrolled the next semester. Therefore, why was he having to be trespassed? Why is there documentation that he had to be served with at the jail, basically evicting him from the entire place and telling him you can't go back whatsoever? Those things don't make sense. Those things don't make sense. And I also want people to keep in mind that December 19th is also the date they're trying to say that he was officially terminated, which coincidentally is the exact same day that the FBI called Moscow Police Department and told them, the guy that you're looking for, his name is Bryan Christopher Kohberger. Don't you think the feds went to WSU? Don't you think the feds went over there and said, hey, we've got this DNA and he's your guy? If they fired him on December the 19th, if that actually happened, because the feds told them he's our suspect. It didn't have anything to do with all this other bullcrap because he was off grading papers into his break. Okay, he was in Pennsylvania still grading. We've shown it on the channel before. I'm not going to go dig them up again. They're all over the place. People that he had put notes on and graded during break came out and showed all of the information, showed what he put on their papers. So I find if any of this is accurate, it's because December 19th, the feds called the school. But in reality, admonishment papers, all these other things, it doesn't add up to being fired because of this issue. And just like Ann Taylor, again, said in court, and all of the paperwork we would have seen would have shown this. There was an investigation done, and he was found to have done nothing wrong. You don't get fired from your job whenever you're told, no, you're fine, you didn't do anything wrong. No, that's not how that works. So now this media chick is like, I want the documents. I want to see everything. I want the proof. But, you know, it's tricky because it's school related and da-da-da-da, meaning no one has had the paperwork. No one has the truth. So the guy that Kohberger was in biology classes with can recite every single SK or mass killer that they studied, and that's fine. But Bryan Kohberger looks up a paper on Ted Bundy and the world falls apart. Now they're like relaying all of the stuff that happened with Elliot Rogers, but that's absolutely stupid because, again, Home Dude was getting numbers. Home Dude had people wanting to be with him that he was turning down. We even went over an interview that was done by one of the students in his class, and the whole time that she was talking about him, she literally has like a smile in her voice as she's talking. So all of this incel stuff, I'm not seeing the proof of it, and all of the proof that tells me that's a lie is coming from the exact same sources. Okay. And now they're doing the whole Papa Roger, Elliot Roger thing. That probably, again, is a law enforcement agent of some sort. I personally think it's a Fed. So, of course, they're going to name it something like that that's going to get people's attention. Come on now. Now, here comes the girl who can't pass without cheating off of his paper. And she's like, oh, he had definitely more of an interest with Elliot Roger. Girl, I don't even honestly like believe anything that you have to say because you just admitted that you like to cheat on people's paper. So now they're talking about all of the incel boards. Where's all of Bryan Kohberger's posts on these incel boards? We have his board comments from Cora, from his visual snow stuff, which we're going to be going over. We're going to be going over here. You know, there was a true crimer out here that was a self-proclaimed incel that admitted that they were in all of these incel boards. Not going to tell you who, pointless. So now they're showing somebody saying that they hope he's found to be an incel so that basically their community can be validated. No, that's absolutely stupid. See, it's a bunch of these sick freaks that are wanting it to be this way that turned it into that. There was a subreddit called Bryan Nation where a fanfic was written. Okay, there's problems with a lot of this stuff. I'm going to show you a screenshot of just how freaking messed up. I don't care if you think someone's innocent or not. You don't create shrines to people. Like, this is just creepy. This is next level freaking creepy. I don't care. This is the kind of stuff that makes people like us that have real questions look crazy. And I be damned. Just like the people that believe that the Chargers email, is real, I will not be put into the same group as these psychopathic people. This is a whole stranger. I only care about the facts. I want the truth and justice for technically all 5 of them at this point, because we've got to find the proof, the truth. So now Josie's here saying that a Bryan Kohberger account sat there and messaged her and said, hey, it's Bryan. Sorry about the B words. No, this is a bunch of sick, disgusting people that came out here, putting all of this out here, putting all of this onto the Bryan Kohberger figure. That's not actually Bryan Kohberger. All of this stuff is being created from the freaks out there playing online, not actually going through the facts. So now they're talking about how the house has become a tourist attraction. What do you think the memorial at the school turned into? Do you think that a bunch of strangers aren't going up to the school campus and taking pictures at the memorial, caring about the memorial? It basically holds the same weight. It holds the exact same weight. I don't want to hear the excuses. That house should have never been demolished until we at least got to this point. If we got to this and now the sentencing and they wanted to demolish the house, I couldn't say a word. But they wanted to get rid of this thing before we even had a trial date. And now look at all of the inconsistencies. Look at all of the unknown male DNA. I mean, we even had some Cole guy's DNA in Maddie's left fingernail clippings, and no one is going to bother to even care about that. What about the lead that they had before the feds called them with Bryan's name on December the 19th? Everything that led them to that person just got pushed aside. I'm sorry. No, none of that makes any sense. And that's not how an investigation should ever be handled. There should never be any unknowns. Never. Okay, so now they're talking about how the DP is being asked for. And Bryan Itten's like, oh, they must have a rock solid case to go after the DP. No, normally it's like a tactic, actually. And I've always said this is a DP case, but it has to be the right person. And this doesn't make sense, the way that they're trying to lay anything out. Even now, we've gone over what Thompson stood up and stated was supposed to be the trial evidence, and it's empty. And it's lacking. And even he says that all these pings that they put in the PCA that apparently prove something, they can't prove that he was ever at 1122 King Road. It's just disgusting. They're showing Judge and some screens from back at a motion hearing in Latah County. So they're putting all of the responsibility on the defense for pushing things back. The state's done it plenty of times. Jim, Ethan's father, and Maddie's stepdad and mom feel like the defense was just trying to find loopholes. I really wish that we knew if they were actually paying attention to the evidence or if they were just, waiting for the phone calls and letting whatever happens without actually paying any attention. Because there's no way that they're looking at what's happening and they don't have more questions than we do. Like, come on, bro. Can you imagine being a student and going on social media and just seeing this everywhere? People just couldn't let this case go. Why would we let it go? The students there should be the ones that are hoping for justice more than us. No, yeah, we're going to keep on asking questions because there's nothing that's been answered. Now here comes David B again. I was under the impression that it would stop. Prove that there wasn't something bad that went down at the party, because according to Jeff Kernodle, something was said to him that made him want to drive to Moscow that night. That wouldn't have just come out of nowhere, and it wouldn't have just come over something simple either. So there's that. Now, when it comes to all of these specifics and all of these little connections, like the one that they just showed, apparently Hunter Johnson was always over at King Road, and apparently there was something going on with Hunter Johnson and Kaylee, and Emily found out, and that was the cause. I never entertain that kind of stupidity. I here on this channel have opinions and possibilities. Little David B right here, I have asked questions about him, but I don't go in there and dig up people's lives, dig into every little bitty thing. I have broad theories that involve entities. When it comes to specific people, anyone who's trying to say out here on the interwebs that they know the specific connections between these things, they're lying. They're lying. We don't have the availability of the information in order to make those connections. We can ask the questions. We can say, something's weird about that guy, that party situation, all the quietness. Yeah, that's a little strange. But when it comes to the actual factual details of what happened, anyone trying to actually put fingers on anyone specific, no. You don't have the information to be able to do so. And if you're claiming that you do, most of the time you don't show receipts. So I don't believe any of the people that have come out with this specific person and this specific person because you don't have the case facts. You don't have the police records. So you don't have the evidence that physically does matter in order to make those connections. I will forever feel as if something happened at that frat party or was related to the frats or the university because of the way that the university came in and took everything over for an off-campus situation. I will never let that go. And until I have some sort of badge and some sort of security access that gets me more information, that's as far as I can take it. That's as far as any responsible person out here trying to talk about these cases are going to take it. But having opinions about ways that people act, about, now being twins instead of triplets, that's not an attack. That's an opinion. And maybe if people weren't soft little snowflakes, it would be not taken so harshly. I have people in the comments constantly crying about, oh my God, I can't believe that you said that. Yeah, because I care about the victims more than I care about the people left behind. And whenever Ethan is being completely kicked out as a triplet and it's just okay, that's gross. That's gross. I don't care. That's gross. That's literally like me saying that if Ariel would have actually passed away from her diagnosis 10 years ago, that today it would be perfectly acceptable for me just to say, oh, I have 2 boys and not even mention her at all. I could not even imagine. Okay. So for me to sit here and say that's not okay for another parent to do, that's my opinion as a freaking parent. I could never sit there and just suddenly pretend one of my kids just never existed at all because it's easier for me. You're not letting that person have any honor or remembrance or nothing. That's forever going to piss me off. But that's fine. They can go down in their basement. So Maisie says that she just tries to focus on the good things about him and not everything else that's going on. You can take that however you want to, considering the way that they're doing things now. So now they're saying how they didn't want to leave Ethan in the crematorium, which I get it. I get it. You should keep your loved one's ashes with you at home. Why wouldn't you? Okay. So then Stacy Chapin says, where do you put your kid? Where do you put your kid? So now Jim is telling the story about how they're going to put him in the basement. The basement. The basement. So he will sit in the basement until one of us pass. So until the parents are dead and their disappointment dies with them, Ethan will just forever be in the basement. How can you sit here and look at me like I'm the bad guy for having an issue with that? What do you mean you can go down and talk to him anytime you want to? Put him in your bedroom. Put him in your living room. You have a huge house, Chapins. Put him anywhere but the damn basement. I'm sorry. That's gross. That is gross behavior. Y'all can hate me all you want to for it. I be damned. I look like the bad guy because I have a problem with somebody keeping their son's ashes in the frickin' basement. Nah. Maddie's mom said she didn't get a lot back because stuff wasn't able to come back. Well, they probably did have to tear stuff apart, cut stuff apart in order to do a bunch of forensic analysis on it. But it was also probably a pretty nasty scene. From what they're trying to say, it was really gross. The Idaho sweatshirt. That's wild. Okay. She is holding up the shirt in those infamous photos, the crop top, the cropped little sweater. That's what I meant in the other episode. I said that damn sweater. It is interesting that they were able to get that sweater back. I guess it was just like in the dirty clothes somewhere and they were able to give it back to her, but that's good. Maddie's mom says, there's very little place in my heart holding on to anger. I understand that, but how can you sit there and have so many unanswered questions and say that this is the way to do things? Sitting there and just trying to hold on to all the good memories, that's great. That's perfectly fine. But to sit back and not ask any questions, to sit back and not pay attention to the truths here, to not care that you don't know the facts about the last few hours of your child's life because it's easier for you, I have issues with that. As a parent, I have issues with that. I'll be the bad guy. I don't give a damn. I'm assuming that she's in a bedroom that they, like Maddie's bedroom that they kept at their house. That's what it looked like. Okay, so now we're at November 13th, 2023, and all of the frat guys are getting together in those suits. We've seen pieces of this interview already. Or shall I say this vigil. They're all standing outside and they're talking on a podium. Showing a lot about Ethan and his clownery. Him constantly trying to get people to laugh. And now, apparently, Taco Bell was his favorite place. Jeez, he's so tall. He pre-opened up all of his Taco Bell packets so he wouldn't have to stop eating. That's funny. So now DJ, his friend, says, now every time I go to Taco Bell, I do the exact same thing because that's how I remember Ethan. See, that kind of stuff is cute. I love those kinds of things. That's so cute. Now they're showing Xana and all of her attempted backflips because she would always fall. She always had the best music. She was always the DJ. She was always playing music. She would bring her MacBook almost everywhere, and it didn't matter. She would just get on a chair and just be on the laptop with music. They're showing a lot of really cute stuff. Now here's Maddie. She was dancing all the time too. Ashlyn's talking about Maddie's, her one move was like her arm constantly doing this. That's funny. She had like a signature move. There's Kaylee and the Murphys, little baby Murphys. Whatever he saw that night, they really need to make more advances in AI because so many animals have witnessed a lot of really disturbing things that aren't answered. Crimes that aren't solved. There's animals involved in a lot of them. AI needs to quit the crap and do things that are important. So every time they see a beautiful sunset, they think it's Kaylee saying hi. That's cute. See, all the people in the crowd that are upset and sad, I have no reason to believe that this isn't real. Just because I have issues with what could have actually happened here, it doesn't take the entire population being involved to make that a real thing. It only takes very few little raindrops to cause problems. Okay, we're in the last segment of the series and we're starting off in Boise. They're showing Hunter Johnson cooking something on the stove with Emily watching him. Looks like Hunter and Emily moved to Boise in February of 2023, saying that they've been trying to put pieces together. I don't honestly believe that, to be for real. Emily is saying that she let go of some of her own lifelong goals because of what happened. I guess that's like a mental thing. I just don't understand how like this would stop you from wanting to go forward with something that you wanted in your life. I mean, I guess it could give you like a different perspective, but just to completely lose your entire thought process and change everything, that's a lot. And now it's showing inside of the apartments where some of them used to live. And they're showing how one of the spare bedrooms in Ava's old apartment looks right at 1122 King. Hunter Chapin said the first 2 weeks back at school, he didn't do very well. Well, I guess not. He said his window was on the very end of the fraternity house and faces the opening of where the house is. And he would wake up every morning opening up the blinds and see the house. Why didn't they put him in a different room? Why wouldn't they put him in a different room? Like you've done given them free tuition, you've done created all these things to help them. Why would you not put him in a different room that didn't face the house where his brother was killed? Unless y'all left him there as it to be a constant message. Like, why else would you leave him in that room? That's wild to me. So now they're showing the demolition. Remember whenever we saw the Elantra car come down the road real slow like as the house was being demolished? Yeah, that was weird. There's still so many unanswered questions. Yeah, and 2 years later, we have more. So Josie just said it won't feel like closure unless there's an admittance or it's proven at trial. Well, we have a guilty plea, but we have no details. To me, that's not a confession. Anyone with a brain doesn't consider that a confession. That's yes, 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 yes to a template with no details and no proof. So Emily is saying that as of 2023, she wasn't paying attention to anything when it came to the court case anymore because nobody had it right and she just couldn't stand everything being wrong. Well, the court documents are where the actual factual basis is, where the timestamps are for the phone activities, for the cameras, for the phone stuff. So maybe y'all should be paying attention to the facts. Or is there a reason why you're not paying attention to the facts and it has nothing to do with emotions? I really have a lot of questions about the people that are closely involved in the situation, but I also feel like Emily was lied to. And I don't know how she feels now, but so many things that she said in this documentary have been proven to be false by all of Dylan and Bethany's phone activities and the actual facts about what happened. So again, this was in 2023. Now that we are in July of 2025 and all of these truths have come out, how do y'all feel about being lied to? That's a serious question. And now it's over and it's showing pictures of Maddie, pictures of Kaylee, pictures of Xana, pictures of Ethan. How can you keep him in the basement? On July 2nd, 2025, Kohberger's defense team entered into a plea deal with the prosecution. Kohberger pled guilty on all counts in exchange for removing the DP and accepted a sentence of life without parole, with no details. With no, I parked here, I went in this way, this is where I put the weapon, none of the things. The Chapin family established Ethan's Smile Foundation, a nonprofit organization intended to carry forward Ethan's legacy. The foundation provides scholarships to students, enabling them to follow their dreams. I'm fine with those kinds of things. I'm fine with there being scholarships put in place that can be given to other people to further their education and help them in their own journeys. But I'm not going to sit here and say that that one good deed takes away the fact that you store your son's ashes in the damn basement. No, I'm sorry. I'm just not gonna even pretend. Maddie Mogen's friends and family run the Made with Kindness Foundation, a non-profit organization in honor of Maddie, Kaylee, and Xana. Their mission is to provide scholarship funds, grief wellness seminars, and on-campus safety awareness in partnership with universities. And see, all those things are great. As a matter of fact, this Made with Kindness Foundation, they're the ones who I'm pretty sure put on the Xanapalooza that happened this past weekend for Xana's birthday. But that's it. That's where it ends. Yeah, I understand that this was put together in 2023. What I don't understand is why they filmed all of this in 2023 and held on to it for 2 years. What was the point in that? Why did they wait 2 years just to plan to release this a week or so before the jury selection was due to start, with all of this incorrect and already proven in court by the actual facts wrong information. And again, Emily, I would love to know how you really feel about the fact that Dylan lied to you all this time. Over the past 7 months, since January, we have been getting a plethora of truths about what was actually going on in that house during those 8 hours. So how do you feel knowing that she was awake the entire time, that she was taking photos, taking videos, calling people, doing all kinds of things on her phone while admitting that she saw Xana on the floor 8 hours before she actually contacted you? How do you feel knowing that she lied to your face? But for the rest of you, I want to know how you guys felt about this entire series down in the comments. Again, I'm going to be getting a video together, or I'll be getting the information together and we'll go live to discuss all of the false information in this entire series, because damn, there's so much of it. But again, let me know what you guys are thinking about this whole thing down in the comments. If you like the way that I present this information and give my opinion, please don't forget to leave a like on the way out, subscribe to the channel if you have not subscribed already, and please don't forget to make sure that that notification bell is set to all so you don't miss any of my rants, reviews, reactions, updates, or deep dives. See y'all.